right, we're back at it again with another Nam Studios podcast. Today we got Kyle Pinaro in the room. What's up, Kyle? How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've known each other for a bit over a year now. We first met each other on through Dan Lloyd. He does a lot for minority millennials, and obviously because that's his company. And he would bring you in as the photographer while my team would be doing the video production, and we just hit it off at a couple of these events.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So I was kind of like a photographer for him, and I got my start kind of doing video, like event videographies, so to speak, for him, and getting in that space of like working with the community. Yeah, and I remember when I met you, you had Gil. He was one of your shooters, right?
Gil's still a shooter.
And he's great at what he does. And I just remember when I met him specifically, he was just very like giving with his advice. Yeah, and his knowledge. Yeah, and he was just like really easy to talk to, and he wanted to tell me about a lot of things. So I felt very comfortable in that regard. And then I remember the most recent one that I was with you at was a while ago. It was that wet room. Was that what it was called? Wet lab.
Yes, the wet lab
in,
for the Accelerate Long Island event.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought what I liked so much about it is that you were running such a tight ship. You had like 2 cameras going on. You had people mic'd up. You're doing interviews, and I just was like, okay, like this is legit. Like this is cool. So it was just cool to see it from the of course, yeah, it was cool to see it from the outside in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, over here at Nam Media Nam Studios, we just try to bring it to the next level because that's what we want people to get. Like, we want to make sure that product, we get all angles, that kind of stuff. But you came in for photography for Dan, but you said that you do video work yourself. Like, how did that start? What made you get into the creative aspect that we're in right now, that we met each other in?
Yeah, so I went to school for film and TV production. I got a bachelor's from NYU, and I felt like a lot of my time there, like I learned a lot, but they teach you to be a director more so than to be a, somebody working in the field. So to me, that's like coming out of school and saying you're going to be the CEO, just not really like a realistic thing. So I really leaned more into editing as time went on, and my early years, I always did photography. That's kind of how I got into it. So it's just always something I've had on the back burner. But when it came to videography specifically over the past like 5 years of really like diving into the professional portion, that was definitely a struggle because there's no handbook.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is people talk to you about networking, and that's such a word that has many meanings, and more often than not, people think networking is like handshakes and just saying hello, like this is what I do, and like we'll keep in touch and we'll work together. But it's not that at all. Like to me, real networking is relationships, and it's actually caring about the people you want to work with, in my opinion, and like checking in on them, happy birthday, congrats on your wedding, so to speak, or how's your kids, like. And you got to be genuine.
Yeah.
And that's real networking, because at the end of the day, people want to work with you if you're easy to work with.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. Networking is definitely being way more personal. It could be that I don't talk to you for like a month or two, but then, I don't know, this happens to me a lot. Let's say I'm like driving down the street and I see a bus with a sign on it, and it says like Pinaro subs, and I'm just like, no, this has nothing to do with you, but I'm like, Kyle Pinaro, that's his last name, and then I'll be like, yo, what's up, man? Just checking in, just seeing how you doing, like, things like that, But why did you feel that it was rough getting into the video production part? I know for me, a lot of our team's teeth got cut on making mistakes and just doing better the next time, just figuring it out as we go, which unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, we got paying clients early, but then we learned on those paying clients, and sometimes those paying clients got like, a bad product, which I think is bad, but what I'm realizing is a client's 100% might be like my 30%. And my 100% might be a client's like 250%. So, like, tell me about how, it was tough for you in the beginning, how you got past that.
I think the biggest barrier to entry is obviously like the monetary aspect, it's getting equipment. And that's not to say that it's not possible. I've never had somebody buy me equipment, so to speak, to get ahead. And I'm sure you haven't, right? I'm sure you've kind of bootstrapped the whole thing.
The whole thing.
So, you know how it is. I think, the biggest thing for me when it came to client work and the business aspect of it is, like I said before, the relationship, but also not putting yourself in a hole in terms of what you charge. And I think doing a fair price and doing a price that you feel is fair for yourself is like the good balance that you have to find. But
have you worked through raising your price and like feeling bad raising your price, or having a client know your price and then knowing the next time you work with them you're probably going to have to raise it?
I think so. I think the way that I've gotten through that though is, if you it's very hard to look at your work unobjectively, especially when you know the ins and outs of it and what you did when you shot it and things like that. But I think that if people want to work with you, there is a reason why they want to work with you. Yeah. So that's not to say that you could just charge whatever you want, as you know, but it's like, raising the price is just kind of a byproduct of the economy. Yeah. If, year to year, you're probably going to have to raise prices, but everything else is going up. So in reality, you're kind of in the same ballpark. And like I said before, it's about relationship with clients. If you're, you have a client that you charge them X amount of dollars and then the next year you bump them up $600, that's rude. Yeah. And you're a jerk. Yeah. Don't do that. You have to be like realistic, and you got to look at yourself from their lens. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. So, sorry, you kind of went on a tangent, but go back to like, you starting off in video and building up from there.
Yeah. So a lot of my video experience is kind of in the art realm. So back in 2022, 23, I believe, I met Jose Tudeven. He's the head of Colored Colors. It's an organization for art outreach. And he gave me a really good opportunity because I was at a point where I just wanted to do more freelance work and really just get my name out there. And due to my age, that's what you have to do, right? So a good friend of mine, Felipe Catano, he's the photographer for him. And he referred me to just shoot this event called Poets Meets Musicians. It was at Lithology Brewing in Farmingdale. Okay. And, I went in and I just kind of did my thing. He didn't really give me any restrictions. And I guess he liked what I did. And he said, all right, come to the next one. And then I shot the next one. And, I was getting actually paid for my work, which was a nice feeling. And then from there, we just built a really good working relationship of, this is what I want. This is what you can do. And from there, I helped build out the media side of Colored Colors, interviewing artists and vendors and things like that. And that really gave me the confidence to talk to people more so and really be able to ask the questions that people want the answers for. So from there, I just, chugged along for about 2-3 years, did that. And I always made branded content work. I worked with Coca-Cola, Smart Water, Liquid Death, and that was through those opportunities with Colored Colors that afforded me that. So I was able to cut my teeth with those brands as well. And then I moved into the documentary space. Ironically, one of the first kind of like pseudo documentary pieces was with Dan Lloyd. So I think it was like a We Are the Future Summit. I think that's what it was called. And he had these like high school aged leaders, and it was like 6 of them. And he just wanted me to do some sort of interview. Like, he didn't give me much direction. He just let me do my thing. And I took them into like the hallway and I just interviewed them, asked them some questions, cut it together with some inspirational music and some B-roll. And he really liked it. So I was like, okay, I want to lean into this type of style. And my whole time in that video career, I was doing video kind of on the side, so to speak. My 9 to 5 was I was an editor for a company that did this thing called versioning, which is essentially cutting ads down for like Peacock and things like that, like during like the streaming bubble.
Yeah.
And when that company folded, because obviously the bubble burst, I found myself kind of wanting to reinvent myself or try something new. So I met this artist. His name is Ivan Orama.
Okay.
And he did the home studio for Alicia Keys and Swizz Beatz.
Okay.
He also made the Freak jacket for Giannis.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's like,
I do remember it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he did that. And I just kind of hit him up because I knew him previously through Color Colors. And I asked him, hey, could I come to your space and just shoot something and let's try something out? He was very accepting and very giving in that regard. He was like, yeah, just come. And I shot that. And I made something for him that I originally intended to have in like 3 parts.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it to be like a whole marketing rollout because I love marketing. That's to me, that's like, you know, awesome. So I gave him like these 3 pieces and he liked them, but he was like, I think it fits better as one whole.
Okay.
So luckily I cut it in a way that it could be
one.
kind of like a triptych painting, you know, where it's like, it's all one piece, but you could separate it. And I did that and he really liked it, but it just sat in the burner for a while. He didn't like do anything with it because he's very calculated. So I was like, I want to get this out there and I need to do something else. Yeah. So I hit up this guy, Diego Garcia. He's another artist. He's very, very good. And I asked him if I could kind of do the same thing. And now I had like a proof of concept with someone he knew. And that relationship was already established. So we shot one. And then from there, he really loved it. We put it out, had a whole rollout, and it went pretty well, I think. People responded to it. Yeah. So I said, all right, what can I do next? Yeah. Who am I going to talk to next? So my friend's fiance, her dad is a pretty accomplished painter, abstract painter. He's been doing it for a really long time. And he's older. He's in his like 70s, early 80s, I believe. And every time I go to the house, I'd see paintings all over the house. So I said to her, I would love to talk to him. So I showed her Diego's documentary. Yeah. And she sent it to him, and he was interested immediately. Yeah. So I did one with him. And I felt like there wasn't much creativity involved. It kind of just poured out of me when I edited it. And it felt very natural. So I said, all right, let me try something else. So I spoke to a musician, and he's a multi-instrumentalist. And then I spoke to a glassblower. And once I had these like 3 episodes that were very different, I was kind of like, maybe I have something here. Because if they're all different and I can hit all these different points, we can go somewhere with it. Yeah. And then it just kept going. And now there's 7 or 8 episodes total. Nice. And they're all people in different artistic, backgrounds. Like we had one guy who is a leather craftsman. He makes things from scratch. Completely from scratch. He made like my wallet, for example. Yeah. In the doc, he makes a pair of loafers from scratch, completely. Even when it comes down to the sewing,
Let me see the wallet. You can't talk about the wallet, not show the wallet.
This is the wallet. So everything you see on there.
Is this like Aztec and type? No, it's not. Yeah, let's show it to the camera.
Yeah, so everything you see on there is completely, like even the embossing on the
inside.
Yeah, and on the outside too. He takes like a hammer and just hits it in, and
this is dope.
It's crazy.
Oh, that's super dope. Yeah, I feel like what you're talking about is kind of the artist's version of what's that show on Netflix that focuses on different like cooks
Chef's
around
Table?
the chef's table.
Yeah.
I feel like yours the artist's version of Chef's Table when I hear you talk about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a big compliment. It's funny you mention that because a lot of my inspiration for it comes from food.
Okay.
I love cooking. It's a big passion of mine, but a lot of the shows that I grew up watching, not even on TV, more of like those digital shows on YouTube. Yeah. The Pizza Show with Frank Pinello. Obviously Action Bronson's show. Yeah. You have, No Reservations. but really like
Classic.
yeah, exactly. Like, and bizarre foods.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those spoke to me at a young age because they are super unbiased. They go into a place and they just show you the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's something weird, like I remember there's an episode of No Reservations, Anthony Bourdain goes to Russia
Mm-hmm.
and he eats something so bizarre and he kind of like doesn't like it, but he still respects it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is where I'm at with art.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves. And
Yeah.
even something, you know, on the business level of videography is art.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's undervalued, it's underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I feel these artists need to
Somehow get out and show the work that goes behind it, the passion that goes behind it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that to me is the selling point of art, because this was really birthed out of a art exhibition I worked with Color Colors, of course. And at the time I was doing, like I said, branded content earlier, and a lot of it was like hype reels. And those are cool and easy.
Mm-hmm.
But after about 10 seconds, the audience is just kind of like, okay, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like the first 10 seconds are interesting. And then if it's a minute-long hype reel, are they really watching the whole thing? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I remember I made this hype reel for this art show called Community, and it was these 5 artists. Ironically, Diego was in it.
Yeah.
Ivan was in it. But it was these 5 artists that were real working artists.
Yeah.
This was their actual salary.
Yeah.
And I was there from 11 o'clock at night till like 4 in the morning with them, really understanding who they were and talking to them individually.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we broke bread together, had food. And I felt like because of that interaction, I would buy any of their art.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it didn't speak to me initially,
Yeah.
I now know them. I want that piece.
Yeah.
So I feel like art in that regard is underrepresented because people can just go to Target, for example, they buy a bunch of stuff from your house, for your house, and within 6 months you throw it out.
Yeah.
But you can buy a painting which has a hefty price tag of like 5, 6, 7 grand at first, but it transcends your entire family lineage, so to speak. Like you could pass it down to your kids, they could pass it down to their kids.
Yeah.
It outlives everybody.
Yeah.
So why are we not celebrating that? Why are we not pushing that?
Yeah.
That was kind of my inspiration behind it.
Awesome. Awesome. And what was like one of your favorite, you know, episodes or one of your most favorite, you know, artists that you've dealt with so far?
It's hard to say because it's like every episode's like your baby, but my 2 favorites, I think, in terms of technique are the one with his name's Wayne Peterson. He did my wallet, so to speak, for example. And then this guy, Joe Pecoraro, he is a glassblower, and he is the founder of Long Island Glass. It's a glass blowing place on Long Island, out in Holbrook, I believe, Holtzville. And his story is really interesting, and it's really, you know, very deep and layered. But I like his the most because he established a school on Long Island. He's like the first one to ever do it.
Okay.
And he's like a heavy hitter in the glass blowing field.
Yeah.
So he pioneered a lot of stuff. And it was cool that I was even able to talk to him.
Because he's that busy.
Yeah. That guy never leaves the studio. He's always there. He's always teaching classes.
Okay.
And it's very selfless, I feel. That's like, you know, he has a lot of really good art, but he doesn't do it because he wants recognition. He's doing this because
he just loves it.
He loves it, and he also wants the community to come in and you know, the other half of Long Island Glass is an art gallery, and he throws events there.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah. And so let's talk about like your editing style and the way you edit and tell the stories. Like you talked about taking inspiration from, you know, documentary style, kind of from like No Reservations, Bizarre Food, Chef's Table, Action Bronson. But like, where are you getting your editing style, your color grading, all that from? Is that something that you kind of just like decide that you lean towards yourself, or did you kind of see a style and you're just like, I like that one?
I think it's a mix of both. To me, editing is an art itself. It's a craft, and I'm sure you agree. But I think it's something that is the same way that painting is an art. It's like you see artists that you like, you can take pieces of it, right? and you can study while you like it, and then you apply your own techniques. To me, a lot of editing is practice. You can't get better at it unless you put your 10,000 hours in, so to speak, is what I like to say. And I've kind of always been asked, you know, how did you learn? And it's like,
just gotta do it.
You have to do it, and you have to suck really bad at first and not make good cuts. And you have to watch it unbiased as well. But so to get to to go off on a tangent, I really like this director, Sean Baker. He did Florida Project, Anora, Tangerine. And I like his approach to subject matter because a lot of his stuff is based on like sex workers or people in poverty. And he portrays them in a human light because they're humans. And it's super unbiased and it's just very real.
Okay.
And even though they are dramatic pieces, he comes from the documentary world, so I feel his style is very much refined and it's like stylistic, but it's also clean, so to speak. So I like his stuff. I really like Denis Villeneuve, of course. He's great. You know, Blade Runner 2049, Sicario, the new Dune movies.
Sicario,
great movie. What I like about those types of movies is obviously they're presented very seriously. Even something action is very serious and it's very like still camera.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is the lighting is beautiful. The grading is beautiful. It just moves at a pace that feels like it commands your attention.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always wanted to do, you know?
I do believe lighting really is the basis and can really elevate a shot, a movie, a scene to the next level. Like, I know a lot of people like to deal with camera placement and, you know, depends on, you know, a close-up, wide, but I really do think, like, lighting is where it's at.
I agree.
And I have one guy, I don't know if you worked with him before with me, his name is Kendall Rodriguez. Kendall, he was actually the one who first introduced me to Dan. Kendall is actually a producer for Channel 12, I believe, Channel 12 News.
Wow.
He was an on-call video cinematographer for them. Then he moved his way up to producer. He did a little stint at Fox before going back to 12. But I call him when I know I have a big project where I want lighting to be front and center. I make sure, like, that's the one thing, like, I pay a lot of money for, lighting. And I think Kendall is one of the best lighting guys on Long Island right now. He has a bunch of lights. He has a bunch of diffusers. Like, when you see him on set, he's kind of like... And, like, whenever I see his stuff after the lighting, I'm like, it was what it is. That's what the fuck I wanted.
I agree with you. I think lighting, and I also think focal length is a huge thing.
Yes.
Like, your lenses are paramount to the quality. You know, I was running for so long, I didn't know any better. I had like a kit lens, and you could get away with a kit lens. You know, the f-stop's like 3.5 or something, and it goes up to 5.6. Like, that's fine, but you want that really nice, creamy bokeh.
Yeah.
You got to get it like a 1.4, a 1.8 at bare minimum. So
I love that feeling when you buy a new lens and then you pop it on your camera. And then you first look, and then you look at and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the fuck was I doing not having this 2 years ago?
Yeah. It kind of astounds me that the lens can make a camera look so good because, like, I have an A7 III. That camera is what, like, I think it came out in like
10 years ago.
It's like a 10-year-old camera.
Still one of the top, though.
I wouldn't get rid of it. There's no question. There's no reason.
I got rid of mine.
Yeah, but you got FX30, so fine. But it's funny because you ever hear this guy Box Visuals?
No.
He's very talented. He's one of like the premier event videographers on the island. He has like an AI page, Junkbox AI.
Okay.
So shout out him. I love him. But he's a really good guy, and I just like spoke to him and asked him, you know, should I get an FX3? And this was like 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago. And he was like, well, what kind of lenses do you have? and I told him, he was like, just get better glass first, then get a better camera. Because I think a lot of times people think a better camera is going to save
It's the glass.
It's the glass and it's the lighting.
Yeah.
Like the lighting, like you said, is the most important part.
Exactly. I mean, just here, I'm looking to invest in. Well, before you even invest and buy glass brand new, I have to tell everybody, go on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Go on Facebook Marketplace. A lot of my lenses I've bought used. You know, you go, you check it out, you pop it on your camera, you make sure there's nothing crazy, no cracks, like the glass is good. And you could get really good glass for a fraction of the price that if you buy the same exact thing brand new.
Yeah.
And that's going into, you know, we do a lot of videography in this room. We're trying to get into product videography as well. So I wanted to get like, you know, a pretty big lens, something along the lines of like a 70 to 120 or something deeper like that, so we could get like really good punch-in shots, you know. But that's the next thing I'm looking for. But of course, I'm gonna go to Facebook Marketplace for that first.
Those Sigmas are
Sigmas, yeah.
Those are a great bang for your buck. They're like $1,000 cheaper than the Sonys too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the Facebook Marketplace thing. I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say amateur because I feel like that's discouraging, but there's a lot of people who get into this and they go all in. They, instead of like dipping their toes, and they get all this gear and then they don't use it.
Yeah.
So they're like, I need to recoup my loss, or I'm just going to sell this off.
I actually run into a lot of people here at the studio who tell me that exact story, because a lot of people, I mean, the need that we're filling in is that we're a one-stop shop. Like podcast, video production studio. So literally you could just come in, tell us what you need, we'll film it, we could edit it and send it to you. You don't have to do anything but just plan like your script or whatever. So what we run into is a lot of people say, hey, I bought all this stuff and I have no idea what to do. So I donated it to a community center or like a school or something like that. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I know that's like $20,000 worth of gear that you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it myself at home, and then you realize like, nah,
you don't need all that. Yeah, you don't even know how to use it.
Yeah, even on the marketing side, when people are just like, how do I just start making content at home? I'm just, you have an iPhone 15, that's a 4K camera, get a ring light, and that's it. If you really want to, buy like a $20 mic from Amazon that connects to your phone. That's all you need.
You need practice.
Just do not spend your money on all that stuff right now.
Yeah, I've found in terms of getting gear, it's on a need, not a need to know, but like a need basis, right? So if I shoot something corporate and they want, you know, lights similar to what you have here, I'll buy it for that. Yeah. And you kind of, you maybe take a little bit of a hit on terms of,
but now you know next time
exactly
you got it.
Next time you got it. Yeah. Next time you can do those gigs. Yeah. So I think that's important. It's not, you got to be smart with it. You can't be putting yourself in a hole prior to it. Yeah. Don't jump the gun and be stupid.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about opening maybe the rental side of this business, because we do have a lot of gear. We do have double gear. The only thing that kind of makes me nervous is that, you know, if someone's just like, hey, I want to rent your cameras, and then we're not having to shoot that day, I'm like, yeah, you can rent my cameras, but then like, what if you break it? Then I'm going to be down the camera for our shoot. So like,
that's what insurance is for.
And that's what insurance is for, and that's why you need insurance. But, you know, following the business plan of like Adorama or B&H, who does rentals and everything, like, just, I don't know if you got into this part, but, you know, I think we were there at the We Are the Future Summit when you were there. That was my team running it. Was it this past year in 2024?
I think it was 23.
Okay, so 23 I was there. So we were probably there. We're just probably in different areas of Hofstra. But when we run those big events, we need to rent gear anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was at Nassau Coliseum, right?
The 21, it was Nassau Coliseum.
That was this past year. I was there.
Okay, so I wasn't there. That was my team.
Yeah,
but I
saw them there. Yeah,
I was away, but my team ran that. So yeah.
So I guess I misspoke earlier. I don't know if I was at a We Are the Future Summit. That was the first thing that popped in my head. But I was at something at Farmingdale State College.
Okay.
And it was similar to it.
Okay.
I think. It was 2023. I don't remember, but that's a lot, man. I feel like there's so many gigs that just blend together.
Yeah, they just blend together. I was looking at my server the other day, and I saw and I was like, I have so much footage that I have not posted for marketing that I'm trying to start to post.
Good problem to have. It's a great problem.
Yeah,
You're backlogged. You could take a vacation and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I was looking at, I could probably post a video every day for the next 2 years and not run out of footage from past projects I've done. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how much I haven't like posted or put on. Like I try to keep up with my Vimeo, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's tough to push it out across all socials. Like when I started my series, it was just Instagram and YouTube, and I just maybe like 3 days ago did a TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook page. That's so funny you say that, because I just started a TikTok for Nam Studios yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
And for me, it was just YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I haven't even posted on Facebook yet.
Yeah. I think I just want to see like where the audience is with it. You know, I think it's kind of like field testing. But regardless, like the audience I think is on Instagram. I think a lot of creatives are on Instagram. Yeah. And I think TikTok is kind of more reserved for the consumer, so to speak.
Don't sleep on YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is really good as well.
Absolutely. I think that's the next kind of like frontier in terms of creatives.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't think you said the name of your series. What's the name of your series?
Oh, my series is called The Artist Perspective.
And then where could people watch it on YouTube?
Instagram is The Artist Perspective, at theartist.perspective. And then you could go on YouTube. The channel name is The Artist Perspective. Yeah. TikTok, the same. You know, it's kind of the same across the board. I'm trying to make it easy for everybody.
And so how do you get in touch with your artists? How do artists get in touch with you? Like, how do you say, oh, that's definitely going to be my next episode? Does it just come to you? Do you have like a running list?
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of everything, but I think I'm very fortunate in the fact that the pieces resonate with people. So when I reach out, I just send the page and ask them if they're interested, and more often than not, they are. Okay. You know, because really, you know, I'd be flattered if someone wanted to do a documentary on me. So they want to do it more often than not. I've only had maybe like 1 or 2 no's, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. You know, I feel like if you're saying no, it might not be a good match anyway, obviously. So yeah, a lot of it is just reaching out, and it's hard. It is kind of like a eureka moment when you see the person that you want to do the next episode on. But I think I'm at a point where I just want variety. I don't want to retread the same grounds, you know, like we've had abstract painter, musician, glassblower, somebody who does recycled garbage off the beach. They call it upcycling. Okay. Yeah, and she works with like an organization that cleans the beaches, and then they make it into art, right? So I like that angle, the educational angle. And then a tattoo artist, and then a chef. The head chef of Farm Italy actually was on there. And then a leather craftsman. Okay. So it's just about, I think, keeping it interesting and different. I think it's going to be more challenging as it progresses to get into those different art forms that separate them from one another. Because there's so many people, for example, that make things like rings, right? But what makes them specific? So I think combing through it is going to be challenging. Yeah. But right now, I'm fortunate that people want to do it, and it's cool that they respond to it. You know, like I have right now, as of this morning, there's like 1,100 followers on that page. I've never had 1,000 followers on anything I've ever done. So the fact that 1,100 people want to see, they want to see what I do, is really cool. Yeah. And I think it's a testament to the artist. You know, they're interesting. So I'm just kind of like a vessel to put them out there.
Yeah, that's absolutely the same thing with the studio. It's a testament to whoever we have on the podcast, because, you know, the podcast, the only thing we ask is that you collaborate with us, you know, on some of the posts that. And then every time we collaborate with like you or somebody else, we get about like 5-10 followers, because they're interested on what you want to say. And then they end up getting interested on anybody else that's been on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you should bring it to the audience. See, like, you know, give me ideas of other professions or artists that you want to see next. Like, the audience really will like advocate for you and give you great ideas. And there's some things that I've gotten from audience followers that I'm just like, wow, why did I never think about that? Yeah. Like, surveying is a real thing.
I think that was kind of where I would naturally go next. And I'm glad you bring that up because I just kind of want to grow it a little bit more and then field it because I love having options. And I think if I have 3,000 options, that's better than, like 20 people giving me an option, right?
Exactly. Did you submit your series to the Huntington Film Festival?
No, they just picked it up.
They picked it up?
Yeah.
Like, so you're in the film festival, but they found you.
I'm part of, it's Huntington Art Week.
Art Week, yeah.
Yeah, and they asked me to do a screening of the first 6 episodes with a Q&A of the first 6 artists and myself.
Okay,
and it's
that's
gonna
awesome.
Be at the,
when is that going to be? Tell us when that's going to be.
That's going to be Sunday, February 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m.
Oh, so this Sunday?
Yeah, this coming Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think the episode's going to be out by
It's
then.
all good.
But we're going to
It's
see if I
already
can make
filled,
it.
so don't even worry about it. Like,
it's already sold out. It's too late.
there's I'm trying to fill it out, so I think there's going to be a good turnout. So
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, I was thinking about what to submit to the festival. I was going to submit like the podcast, but I know it had to be either filmed in Huntington or beneficial to the town of Huntington. And I don't think I've done anything in a while with anybody who actually lives in the area or benefits. So I was just like, we'll wait till next year. Something will pop up.
I think Huntington is the next art haven on the island. I think it might be one of the only.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, from the boroughs to Southampton, there's not much.
Yeah.
And I think that all these towns try to do it, but a lot of times they're kind of in it for the wrong reasons. There's a profit issue, for example. There's monetary issues. And obviously...
municipality issue for some reason.
Yeah. And political issues, which to me, that's the most aggravating thing in the world. It's art. Just put it out. Yeah. There's no reason that there needs to be palms getting greased, so to speak, or it needs to benefit anybody. But I also understand the other side if they're getting funded.
Yeah.
So... that's the business side to it that you need to, be wary of, but it sucks.
Yeah.
But my point being, Southampton is kind of the next haven in terms of art because all the money's out there and people grow up out there. And obviously art in and of itself has always been rooted in money, right? Or wealth.
Yeah, because you have to have the time and the monetary status to be able to do something like art and not having to worry about, going to work the next day or...
And I kind of reject that, though. I agree with you, but I reject that ideology because I feel that art, I hate to say portrayed by the media, but art when it's portrayed to the masses is something that would frustrate me as well. Like, for example... that banana that was taped on the wall at the MoMA, right? And that sold for $6 million by Sotheby's, something stupid. Yeah. It's obviously not art. The art is in the reaction of the public. That is the art. And that's what whoever the artist is trying to do. You can't expect the entire population to understand that because that in and of itself is like ridiculous. So... people are going to feel like they're getting screwed over in terms of art. And what that does is it devalues art on a global scale. That like set art back 10 years, 15 years. Because now when an artist put 70, 80 hours into a painting and they're like, it's $3,000, which is essentially like $1,500 a week, which is what a real fair salary, so to speak, is. Yeah. People are like, I'm not paying that. So you screw over the little guy at the end of the day. You're ruining art.
Yeah, I see that. I totally see that. That reminds me of what Banksy did when he made that art, and then when somebody bought it, it just went through a shredder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think art has been obsessed with statement pieces, and there is a place for that.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. You're right. There is a place for that, but when I look at art, I definitely want to see the passion and the grit and the emotion behind it. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who they put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. I know this one woman, Patty Eljack. She's part of Huntington. She does these like beautiful hand woven basket. They look like plates, so to speak, and they're hand woven. She does it for hours on end. Pricks her fingers, literally puts her blood, sweat, and tears into it, and probably doesn't get the recognition she deserves. She works for the Huntington Arts Council, but she should have a huge platform. Like, I would pay to see her stuff in a museum.
Yeah.
And I think that is what needs to be put out there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to get out of here. How can people find you? How can people get in contact with you? Either to bring you on because they want to be on a documentary, or they just want to hire you for, photography, videography.
Sure. My business at or personal at is Kyle Pinaro, KYLEPINARO. And my doc series is The Artist Perspective. On Instagram, you can find me at theartist.perspective.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, Kyle. I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah,
I knew we need to connect for a minute.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome. I mean, really great.
All right, thanks, man.